So yesterday, I had an amazing experience, which I think Hashem was giving me a lesson on Emunim Bitachon, and I hope to share with whomever is in the sea of the world would like to listen to it. Hashem should continue to guide myself and to guide anyone else that the words that I'm going to share here are helpful to. One of the things that I've taken a lot of inspiration from are stories of the Baal Shem and his students in regards to walking places and going places that Hashem seems to guide the people. Even if they don't know exactly where they're going, they seem to be pulled into the right places at the right times. There's stories of tzaddikim going out to the forest on Yom Kippur and finding crying women, and Baal Shem Tov taking people on walks discussing divine providence, and everyone watching a leaf falling off of the tree, and ultimately the tree, the leaf falling on top of a worm. Everyone's aware of those stories. So in my own way, I've tried to exist within that reality, and I've tried to take my own walks that I like to call Hashgachah Pratis walks, divine providence walks. Now, the purpose of this kind of a walk is not to not make choices and see how everything is determined from the beginning. The purpose of these kind of walks is to see and to feel Hashem's presence within your life, guiding you as you try to focus on His omnipotence, on His divine design, on His being as the Manhig Olam, as the conductor of the world. So the way that this practically goes is practically what I've done before with students and what I do on my own, and I've only done this a few times with my students. It always feels very risky because I don't know what the experience is going to be like. But when I begin to take them on, I said the purpose of this walk is like this: is that there's a mitzvah to think about the unity of Hashem, the oneness of Hashem, and we can get distracted with very, very mundane things like, choosing which direction do I go to or what place do I go to, when you really don't have a particular mitzvah that you must go to at that moment. So it's better, instead of at times, not always, but at times it's better to purely focus on Hashem's giving you energy and filling the world around you and directing and guiding you, than to think the power's in my hands, and every single turn I make, I must decide to the right, to the left. I must feel in control. Instead, at this time period that you're thinking about Hashem's omnipotence and Hashem's leadership and conduct and energy and spheres flowing into the world, stop making choices and just notice that actually there's a certain aspect of life where Hashem is actually moving you. So yesterday, I had a group of students that it was the first very nice day outside, and they came to me asking if they could go to get slushies at 7-Eleven as a class. I wasn't so into that idea. I don't love making that walk. It takes a while. We always get back a little bit late. And, also it's obviously not the most healthy thing. I don't know. I didn't feel so into the idea, but I thought to myself, maybe. They pressed it. They went and got permission from administration that we could go if we wanted to. And I was like, nah, I don't know. And then one of the students says, why don't you take us on one of your Hashgachah Pratis walks? And so then there was kind of like a divide between the class. Do we go to slushies, or should we just do one of these walks? And I said, maybe we'll go to slushies, and only if that's where we feel that Hashem is guiding us. And I told them what I just said, to feel kind of like the pull of where to go. And right away, going out of the building, instead of taking an immediate right towards the 7-Eleven, my body pulled me to the left. And they were like, okay, here we go. I guess it's a Hashgachah Pratis walk. I said, yes, this is just the way that Hashem is moving me. I'm really not making a conscious choice besides for the consciousness of thinking about Hashem's presence. So ultimately then, we ended up crossing the street and heading back in the direction towards the 7-Eleven, but on the other side of the road than the side of the road that we normally would walk if we were going to 7-Eleven. And I'd be honest, I was not having a great day that day. I really wasn't. And as we were walking, all of a sudden, my body, and I was only looking at the floor, I really wasn't looking to the left or the right. My body, my legs, really my left leg and body were pushing me. The creation of my body was pushing me to the left. And all of a sudden, I noticed that, okay, this is where I'm going. And there was a little trail behind a hill, the Clutch Park Hill. And I was surprised that there was this trail right there that I was walking towards. And, the smiles start to happen because they recognize, this is Hashgachah Pratis. And as I'm walking down this trail, I start to wonder, Hashem, are you, where are you taking us? And I spoke to them about, as we were moving, I thought to myself, maybe it's a detour and we'll go to 7-Eleven. Maybe Hashem, I don't know. I really don't know. I have no clue where Hashem wants to take us. And I say to the girls, but when it comes to doing something like this, so your consciousness needs to be focused on Hashem, and now He's the power and the authority and the one that's bringing you to the right places, etc. At the same time, you must always maintain your bechira on the ground, your choice on the ground. So if Hashem takes us up the hill, I'm actually going to not follow that motion because it's important that we stay in completely public, seeable areas. That's just appropriate. And it happened to be, so I didn't even know this trail, but it happened to be that there was a way to go on this trail to the right, which was completely public, and that's where my body took me. And now I'm wondering, where are we going? And my body pulls me then to the left, like, what's going on here? And when we go to the left, my students are like, oh, a playground. And I'm wondering to myself, maybe that's where we're going. Now, these are teenage girls, and they don't really go to playgrounds anymore. And they all were like so excited. And indeed, that's where my body took us, was to the playground. And the smiles and the laughter were just incredible. When these girls went on the swings, there's no way. Someone on the swings, one went on a slide, one walked into the forest a little bit. I sat down to the side, and I'm watching them just so happy. And I'm so happy that they're so happy. I'm so happy to see that they're recognizing that, Hashem can take them to places with happiness. And after a certain amount of time, it was just the right time to stop. And we started to leave, and I said to them, I'd like to talk to all of you about what I think Hashem is teaching us here. That this is the month of Adar. This is the month of Misha Nichnas Adar Marvin V'Simcha. That the mazel of the month is when Adar comes, you should increase in happiness. And I think that Hashem is showing us that at this time where that's the divine energy is to tap into happiness. That Hashem wants us to understand that if we trust in Him completely, and we just try to connect Him, even in the mundane things in life, there's an incredible amount of unpredictable happiness and beauty that we can find in the world. And that's what occurred. We anticipate we should go to 7-Eleven, but the truth is that if we're tapping into a higher level of our consciousness, of our neshamas, which is the part of our mind and our heart which only wants to cleave to Hashem and only wants to feel at one with Hashem, so we end up here at the playground with an incredible joy and happiness that we don't find with our phones, definitely don't find it with our phones or our technology, but that we can only find through this kind of a practice. And we continued to walk. We walked across the street, and we were walking past, my body took me right into a softball field. And I figured, it's on this theme. And I had this thought, which we had talked about previously. Someone asked if they could play on the Black Hats softball team. I said, sorry, girls don't play on the Black Hats softball team. Just, I think the person was joking. But now, my body was taking me near the softball field. I said to them, why don't you play an imaginary game of softball and we'll increase more in joy. So they did, and they laughed and they smiled, and each one took a fake at-bat on the field. And then it reminded me of something that had happened maybe about 2 years ago, that there was a Shabbos, and I brought them together, and I told them about this. There was a Shabbos where my kids were really sad. They were sad because they didn't have a play date, and no one was coming over, and they were on the couch complaining and whining to my wife and I. And we had at the time been talking a lot about davening to Hashem, and similar to the story of Rabbi Nassan of Breslov, that one time he was sitting at the table of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, and there was a clap on the ground, and Rabbi Nachman said, what was that? And he said, whatever it was that attached his shoes together was had detached, and his shoes fell off. Rabbi Nachman said to him, did you daven to Hashem for the shoelaces or whatever attached the shoes to, for Hashem to bring those to you? He said, no, why would I ask Hashem for this? And you have to ask Hashem for everything. There's nothing in creation that's not coming from Hashem. Right? So we were on this topic, my sons and I at that time in their lives. And they were about 7 years old, 8 years old. And I said to them, you guys, you're so sad that you don't have what you want. You're so sad that you don't have a friend here. Trust Hashem. Ask Hashem to make it a meaningful day. Ask Hashem to make it a meaningful time. Don't just sit here. If you got something that you're hoping for or you want, talk to Hashem about it. And don't think it's impossible for Hashem to make this an incredible day for you. So they both started to whisper their own tefillas to Hashem. They actually listened. And I was hoping and wondering, and I myself was davening to Hashem, that if they're davening to Hashem, that Hashem should show them that what they think is impossible to be a beautiful and fun situation could be amazing. Whether it's with friends, without friends, if it meant a friend would all of a sudden knock on the door, or something would work out that we left, whatever it was, that it should be that if they're davening to Hashem, that they're going to see how Hashem's Hashgachah could bring them to a tremendous place of simcha. And it was literally, I'm telling you, it was miraculous. It was miraculous because within 15, 20 minutes from them, no friends came over. They didn't go to a friend. They just all of a sudden had the idea, let's go out on the trampoline, right? They could have thought of that before, but it wasn't until they did the tefillah. And it was probably the most laughter and happiness that I'd seen them have on the trampoline, maybe ever, maybe not, but whatever it was, the amount of simcha when they went on the trampoline was amazing. And afterwards I said to them, you see, you must have davened for it. And they said, we did daven, but a friend didn't come. And I said, no. Moshe Nachman, you're not understanding. It's not that a friend didn't come. That's irrelevant. What you wanted was a good Shabbos. What you wanted was happiness. What you wanted was to not feel bored. And when you allowed Hashem into your life, Hashem brought you to realize that you didn't need a friend from outside of the family. You had each other. And together with your tefillah, Hashem provided you with a better time than you would have had, so to speak, even if a friend came. Because when you focus on Hashem and His omnipotence and the light that He could bring into your life, that opens up channels for that light to come. And that light is not something that you can predict. It's not experiences that you can decide. These are much greater experiences than your decisions, than your physical expectations. And when you leave it up to Hashem, it's so much more interesting. It's so much more exciting. And don't say you're not making a choice, because you are making a choice. You're choosing to focus on Hashem and not on yourself. And from there, the experiences are wondrous. So I told this to my students. And they appreciated it. I walked home. And on the way home, I figured, let's take a look at the Hayom Yom. And we discussed the Hayom Yom. And we got back to the school about 5 minutes after class was over. And I think that the girls tasted a little bit. Tamuru Kitev Hashem. They tasted and saw that Hashem is good. in the month of Adar. And this morning, I read an incredible teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, which I think this helps us to understand, which the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov explains the pasuk Vani Tefillah and I am Tefillah from David HaMelech in Tehillim. Now, normally, the way that I've heard it, the meaning of this is that David HaMelech is Tefillah. Why? Because he's always davening to Hashem. He's always a keli. He's always aware that there's no moment which is not being put into existence and sustained completely and totally by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This Baal Shem Tov, though, explains that Vani Tefillah, who's the I? The Shechina, the indwelling presence of Hashem, the revealed presence of Hashem in the world, the lowest physical world, the grass, the trees, the benches, the dogs, the people, the rivers, the lakes, the sky, the sun, the star, the moons, our fingers, our toes, our bodies, right? All of the plains and the mountains and the rivers and I already said that, in the seas, the birds and the chirping and the noises and the things we can see and the things that we can't see, and the time and the space. It's all, the Shekhinah exists within all of it. The ability for Hashem to reveal himself in the world. The Shekhinah, though, is a complete makabel, a complete receiver. And the Shekhinah is called here, I am Tefillah, I am davening. I am a connection to Hashem. And what does it mean to daven to Hashem? Davening to Hashem, according to the Baal Shem Tov and Chassidus, is not about me and my physical needs, but instead the whole thing is transformed into an idea that when I have a lacking, when I feel that there's a lacking, I'm becoming a messenger for the Shekhinah. I am feeling the lacking of the Shekhinah. I am feeling the lacking of Hashem's presence in the world, and that gives the Shekhinah immeasurable pain, because the Shekhinah, all it wants is to receive the light of Hashem, is to feel the oneness of Hashem. And so we're feeling a little bit of the Shekhinah's pain when Hashem is not clearly, openly, in a revealed way in our lives. So the Shekhinah is Tefillah, because Tefillah represents bakashas, requests, and please, which is a real Tefillah, is a state of I am poor and I need you, Hashem, completely. Like the sphere of Malchus, of kingship, that the world itself is just a receptacle of Hashem's divine presence. So, in these stories that I've mentioned to you, not stories, these life experiences that I'm telling you about, wondrousness comes not through focusing on the physical things that I need. I need a Slurpee. Instead, perhaps the feeling was a feeling of lacking. I need happiness. I feel bored. So I'm going to focus on your light, Hashem. I'm going to focus on the chesed, on the lacking that the indwelling presence of Hashem is feeling. And I'm going to put it into your hands, Hashem. And I'm going to watch what will happen from there. And in this teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, he says that if you focus only on your physical needs, then you create a curtain between the Shekhinah and Hashem. You actually make it that you can't see the divine providence then. You can't see the awesome possibilities. You're blocking the light. You're blocking the revelation of Hashem. So, in these stories, it's about unblocking. Yes, is there pain? There's pain. Is there boredom? There's boredom. But how do you deal with it? Is it, oh, Hashem, I need more money. Oh, Hashem, I need this, I need that, I need this, I need that. No, that's blocking the infinite possibilities of the most awesome ways in which Hashem could reveal himself in those particular situations. So, I need tefillah. I need to be tefillah. I have to be in touch with the Shekhinah. I have to be in touch with the lacking. I have to feel the lacking. But then I have to turn the lacking up to Hashem without placing any limits and boundaries on it. I have to let Hashem take me on that walk. I have to let Hashem take me on that journey. I have to trust with patience that He's taking me there. And when I get to that place, Geula comes, redemptions come, happiness comes, the true joy of Adar, Mishenichnas Adar, Marbim Simcha comes. We should all merit to see the true joy of Adar, including myself and all of the pains that I'm experiencing right now, which are many. But I have to trust 100% that Hashem is holding my hands, and if I allow Him in, He'll walk me to the place of true happiness, and He'll walk me there, not in pain, but He'll walk me there in happiness, and every stage will be happiness, because His presence will be felt, and when His presence is felt, the pain washes away.